What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Monte Poker episode 4. Special announcement. Today's my birthday and we're up at 2:30 in the morning editing for you degenerates. I'm really excited to be dropping this episode today, but our best cash game session to date, even off the vlog, happens to be the video we're releasing today. Yes, it was played a couple weeks ago. There were some absolutely insane calls. Great hands we lost, great hands we won, and we were card dead for a portion of the night. We literally hit every end of the spectrum. I'm very excited for you guys to watch this one. Please watch until the end. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so we start the session with ace jack offsuit in the cutoff. A couple players try to limp in this pot here, and we are absolutely not going to let them see a flop for cheap. I go ahead and bump it up to $25 here. I'm not sure if this is a large or small sizing. We just sat down at table and I haven't seen very many hands go by. I'm not sure how splashy or how tight the players are. I have played with a few of them, but there's a lot of unknown faces at the table, so I decided to play it safe and just go for value here with a $25 bet, and luckily we get it through. Only one player calls and we're off to see the flop heads up. The board brings us a 9-8-4 with 2 clubs and a diamond. Our opponent checks it to us, and for some reason I decide to check it back. I definitely think I should have c-bet there, but we definitely missed an opportunity. Luckily the jack of spade comes on the turn and I fire out for $30. Our opponent quickly calls, and then a king of clubs comes on the river. Our opponent checks it over to us, and this board is a little too coordinated for my liking. I go ahead and just check it back. Our opponent doesn't seem to want to show, so it looks like we missed another street of value. I don't think I played this one that great, but I don't know. There was some straight draws out there, some flush draws out there. Everything kind of just got there, so I decided to just play this one kind of timidly, but we won a pot, so who can complain? Next hand, we pick up ace king suited under the gun +1. We have about the same stack size from the last hand that you saw. Nothing has really changed. I decided to limp into this hand because people had been getting a little crazy and raising a lot of pots, and of course nobody raised on this one. The board comes out king high with 2 hearts and a 9. I decided to continue here for $5 because the pot is only $8 because there were a bunch of limpers and we didn't raise pre-flop. Our mistake. We get 1 caller. Actually, wait, make that potentially 2 callers. Oh, and a raise. Okay, even better. So this is getting pretty juicy now then. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just smooth call this. If the pot were a little bit bigger, I'd click it back, but I don't want to scare anybody off. A deuce of diamonds comes on the turn and our opponent fires out for another 20 here. Once again, I don't want to scare anyone out. I just smooth call it, and then a 7 of hearts comes on the river. And then our opponent to our right fires out for an additional 20. There's 3 hearts out there, so now I can't raise. I think I kind of misplayed this one yet again. I missed 2 streets of value, and we get shown ace 9 of hearts. Yikes. Don't know if we could have got him out of the hand. We may have lost the minimum here actually, because the nut flush draw, I don't know, it's debatable. We probably could have made more money and got him off on the turn if we bet big enough, but there wasn't really that much on the flop. I think our mistake was pre-flop. Next time we'll just raise it. Not sure what's going on today, but we pick up another premium, ace queen suited and MP +1. We lost a bit of our stack, but we still have a majority left. So when our neighbor raises us to $25, $21 rather, I say that is not enough. We are going to bump that up another 50, try to thin out the field and isolate here. We're in pretty early position, so I don't want too many people coming along. And then Margot just shoves. We have to call this. It's about 100 from what it looks like, maybe a little under. We already have half of it in there, so there's no way we're not going to call her all in. And as I'm making this decision mentally, I look over the button and this man is in the freaking tank right now. I think something maniacal is coming, and then he lifts up 4 fingers. The blinds quickly fold. The dealer announces 400, and now we got an issue. I've seen this exact player make this move with pocket 6s trying to isolate somebody when he was in position. I don't think I can fold just given this guy's range and the amount of money that's already out there. I'm putting Margot on a medium made hand. It's possible she has queens, kings, or aces, but I highly doubt it. Whenever she's short stacked, she'll push with 8s or better. The player to my right enters the tank for a couple of minutes and then eventually ends up going all in himself for a little under 400, and we snap this off. I think I have 2 overs to the first 2 all-ins. I didn't really think about player 3. He has been playing a little bit tighter, so we might be in trouble here, but hopefully we can hit and hold. The flop comes out queen high with a 4 on the turn and a 9 on the river. I flip over my cards thinking we have the winner, and my neighbor shows me pocket queens. Margot shows us pocket tens, and the button player folds. Oh, I was so excited. I thought we had that one. Rebuy. So we buy in for 600 here. Our stack got knocked down 50, and then we wake up on the button with pocket queens. Now it's our turn with the ladies. Under the gun +1 raised to 10, and then the MP1 decided to re-raise it 30. This guy is pretty tight. He always gets to showdown with some pretty good hands, so I'm gonna bump this up, and I'm not gonna make it a cheap sizing either. At this point, there's a lot of money on the table, and people have been playing for some pretty big pots here, so I go ahead and make it 130. There's only one person I want to call, and I want him to call with a good hand so I can put him on a pretty tight range. The early position players fold here, and unfortunately our target does not have the hand to call. Might have been a bit of an over bet, but we're gonna be greedy tonight. No more slow playing for us. So at this point, the game took a serious turn for the worse. There was a lot of players coming off of tournament tables that I thought were just gonna be massive whales, fuming from their bad beats in the tournament, just dying to get their money back. And at first that was the case, but after a few people had gotten stacked, the gameplay tightened up significantly. To make matters worse, the players that had won some big pots got up, taking a majority of the money off the table. So people seemed very unmotivated to get into pots because of how much they were stuck. I tried to take advantage of the fact that everybody was playing tight by playing a lot looser. We opened up our range significantly and started playing hands that contained any face card or any ace, but the players quickly caught on to it and we started getting called lighter. So our stack was just fluctuating up and down at this point. I was seriously debating getting up even though we were stuck a good amount, but it's so hard to make any money when the action is just completely dead and nobody wants to get involved into any hands unless they have premium, and that's when it happened. Tournament table had gotten down to the last 6 players, and the people that were coming off of the tournament table now had loads of cash that they were ready to just donk off on the cash game. Our next hand brings us pocket threes under the gun +1 with 675 in our stack. The player to our right raises to 25. Oh, actually, I think that's 30 bucks. It's a pretty strong raise under the gun, but we just have threes, so I'm going to go ahead and call here and see if we can set mine. The player in middle position calls the 30. And then it took the 2 later players that ended up putting in the call some time to make the call, so I just fast forwarded here to the flop, but we're going 5 ways. And the dealer doesn't waste any time and gives us a full house right off the bat. Complete rainbow board. I wish there was another draw out there so we could extract max value here. So I'm debating how much I'm going to get into this pot. And then our neighbor does it for us. Throws $100 out there. I'm debating re-raising here, but this is this player's first hand. I'm not sure if he's a tight or loose player. If he's just continuing here with ace king, I don't want to scare him off by repopping it, making him think I have a 5 or a made hand. The remaining players get out of the way and we're going heads up to the turn. So the turn brings us a deuce of diamonds, which doesn't really change much on this board. I guess there could be some straight draws now with any ace, but I doubt he's putting us on that considering we called the $100 bet on the flop. I don't know how much to bet here. Like I said, I don't know how this player is playing. He just sat down. I'm hoping he has an overpair here. I'm going to go really small here with a bet sizing of 125. Kind of seems with his bet sizing like I have the 5 and I'm not really afraid of this board. And we're really not because we have a full house already. I was also debating betting about pot, but I wanted to make the bet sizing small enough that any pair beating this board would basically have to call. 125 is almost nothing, but it does smell really value-y. Our opponent is taking his time thinking about this decision. I think I may have made a mistake here. I went so small that it looked like it was just screaming value, and he ends up folding. This player sat down with a lot of money, so I don't want him to think that we're just bluffing him off of hands. So I go ahead and flip the 3s over just to show him. I'm going to go back to my tighter play style and try to cash in on this image with a big bluff later tonight. As the players are playing musical chairs, we look at ace king suited on middle position +1. Forgive the graphics, they say button, but it is not the button. We're sitting at 886 from the last hand. A player just returned and bought the button, and the action is on our friend Jordy, who is sitting to the right of the dealer. He raises it up $10, but this isn't enough for me. I think we need to bump this up. I decided to go with the bet sizing of about 40. This should be enough to get the tighter players acting after me to fold and to isolate with Jordy. If he has a really big hand, he's going to re-raise us and we can just get out of the way early. The player that we had just played with a moment ago and flopped the boat on decides to also come along for the ride, but he doesn't think 40 is enough. He bumped it up to 105. He seems to be a bit upset about about losing that hand. He had mentioned that he had pocket queens and he made a pretty good fold there. I'm not sure if I believe him or not though. Felt like queens definitely would have given us action on that board. Either way, there's blood in the water and I'm ready for it. We're gonna put in the call here and see a flop. Going 3 ways to this flop, the board gives us 5 king 4 rainbow. We got top, not really a coordinated board for the raise sizing pre-flop. I don't expect this to hit either person's range unless somebody's somehow here with pocket 4s or pocket 5s. The action checks over to me and I'm just gonna blast. We're going for 200. No more slow playing tonight. We haven't made any bet sizes this big. I haven't bet pot at all tonight. I'm trying to make it look like I'm bluffing, trying to represent the king. Our opponent enters the tank once again and he does not like this spot at all. He really should have fired on the flop if he had a big pair. He was the pre-flop aggressor and anybody without the king most likely would have folded to his c-bet on the flop, but he gave me the opportunity and now I don't think he can decide whether or not I'm bluffing. He tanked for upwards of 3 minutes here, asked the dealer for a count, and the second the dealer touched the chips, flicked his own chips in, so I'm not quite sure why he asked for a count. 5 of diamonds comes on the turn. I don't really think it changes anything on this board. He checks it over to me and I'm gonna go for it. I jam all in and our opponent somehow beats us into the pot. What? Now at this point I'm really concerned. I figured that this player was smart enough to know that if he called the flop bet, I was gonna jam on the turn. This would make the bet sizing look like a bluff, and if I did have the king, I was disguising my hand. What I wasn't expecting was for him to literally throw his chips in before I did. The river comes a 10 of spades. I flip over ace king and we're good. Our opponent mucks his hand. He doesn't show and doesn't tell us what he was holding. He simply states that we needed that king. Is it possible that he had pocket queens again? The world will never know, but we're gonna scoop an absolutely huge one with this double up. Moving on, we pick up the ladies once again, second time this session. We're in the small blind and a couple of players try to limp into this pot, and when the action gets over to our good friend Jordy, he never disappoints, doing the people's work and raising so that we can repop it. I decided to go for 80 here. We've been playing larger pots, so I don't think this bet sizing is going to get him off the hand, but I definitely don't want to let people in here for cheap. Ideally, this will go heads up, but if somebody wants to call with a marginal hand for $80, so be it. We're going to be c-betting a lot of flops. All we have to do is avoid an ace or a king, and we can comfortably lead out again. Our Huckleberry comes along for the ride, and then Jordy puts in the call. So we're 3 ways to this flop. Which brings us king 5 king. Oh boy, I don't really think I have much of a choice here but to check. I can fire out here, but if 2 people call the pre-flop blaze to 80, I'm definitely expecting a king to be in here, but then the check gets through somehow. A jack of spades comes on the turn and I'm thinking somebody had to have connected with this card, right? If they don't have the king, they have to have the jack. Jordy decides to take a stab at it and I'm between raising and just calling. I'm concerned with the player behind me sloping a king, so I'm gonna call and let him raise to see if he has it. He ends up snap folding, so he obviously doesn't have the king. Now we're probably just gonna fire big on the river, and it looks like I'm a chicken and just check dark for some reason. Ace of diamonds comes on the turn and Jordy shows me ace 5 suited. I'd like to say that I'm surprised that that's in his range, but I don't think Jordy has a range, so it's not all that surprising. Hats off to you, Jordy. Long time no eat. I want to give a quick shout out to our boy Eric over here. This man had been taking all the bad beats like a champ. He finally caught some luck, woke up with a monster, got it all in on the river, and did this awesome little dance to try to induce some action. Ends up showing aces, and they were good. I haven't seen him since this night, but he was an absolute pleasure to play with. I hope I catch him again soon. There is a straddle to 10 and a double straddle to 20 into this pot. We are on the button with pocket 5s, and we call the 20. The original straddler ends up putting in the call, and then we're over to our boy.
You know how long we've been waiting for this? Let's see what we got.
Let's see what we got.
So, do I need to get lucky or should we outplay this shit? What do you think?
Yes. Como quieras.
He talks a real mean game, but he ends up just putting in the check anyway. I'm glad because I definitely didn't want to call any more money with pocket 5s. We do have the chips for it, so we might have set mind, and boom, right off the bat, we hit our 5. The action goes check, check, and I decide to check back here for deception. The turn brings us a jack of spades. Not really the card that we wanted to see. I was going to try to build this pot on the turn here, but now I'm not sure if I want to build it because there's a lot of cards that can make this board way worse for us. Our opponent ends up firing for 25. We have one more call, and then I'm just gonna smooth call here. I could raise, but I don't know. I'm about to get up and I don't want to lose a bunch of money right before we leave. So the river comes a 6 of diamonds. Doesn't change too much on this board. I guess people could have some little cards since it was a double straddled board, and both of these are the straddles, so this might as well be the blinds. This hits their range more than it hits mine, but we do have a set and we've been slow playing it. So I don't think we can raise here with a player behind, but I'm definitely gonna call this bet here. So we put in the call and then we wait on the last player to act. Our opponent tanked for a decent amount of time, so I went ahead and fast forwarded the video here, and he does not want to call this bet sizing. He elects to go for a different option. He decides to raise. He makes it 300 to go, and now the action's back on Mr. Rain Dance, who now also enters the tank. So we'll go ahead and fast forward through this one too, but the entire time this is happening, I'm really debating if my hand's good. We're playing this 3 ways. Under the gun, bet the turn when the spade got there, and then he check raised the river. I don't know, this line, it looks like he's really trying to represent the flush here, but it could easily be the ace of spades that missed their nut flush just trying to steal the pot. I don't think he has ace 5 since we're holding 2 5s, but he could have ace 4 or ace 6, potentially just queen jack with a queen of spades. I'm not really quite sure. The problem I'm having with this is this bet sizing really looks like it's going for value, and even after under the gun +1 folds, I'm still sitting here deliberating for a good amount of time as far as what I want to do. After going over all the hands that could be taking this line that I'm ahead of versus all the hands that are taking this line that I'm behind of, don't think I can let go of the set in this spot. Keep telling myself to just let it go. I'm getting up soon, but I can't.
Okay, call.
There you go.
You got me, man. Yeah.
Music to my ears. I love hearing I think you're good before you even flip your cards over. We were miles ahead of the jack. I'm assuming that second card was some sort of high spade. It's always terrifying making hero calls, but luckily this time we were right. We made sure to throw 15 over towards the dealer, and I'm getting ready to make my exit. It's almost 1 in the morning. Yes, I know that's peak hours for degenerate poker players, but I've been up since 5 and I can't play well when I'm super tired. So I give my girlfriend the look and we're getting ready to leave. But before we do, we have a bonus clip for you. Action Aces with his magical dance somehow talked me into staying for one more hand, and he put in a $50 straddle pre-flop. Margot's under the gun and puts in the call. I'm under the gun +1, and I like my hand. I think it's worth another 50, so I also put in the call. And then MP has the audacity to shove for 400 effective. Here's how that went.
Hold on. We got a 50 straddle.
Monster for me to call. I would have to have a monster for me to call. Only for you, James. Only for you, Adam.
Fuck it.
Oh shit.
I've got nothing to lose.
Hey!
Oh shit. I saw him fold. My bad.
Can I look at my cards and
You
then?
can look at your card. My bad.
No, you can't look at your card.
Excuse the fingers, rookie photographer.
Oh, he's already gone. No, my son. I fold. You can't look either way. Oh, he's folded.
No, you can look. He can look. He's folded. He's been folded. Put him in him up.
He's not out yet.
Nah, he's folded.
Like he said, he's out. So I know he's out. We're gonna hold it till he's out.
Yeah. Is Body out? Body. Body's out.
Body's out.
Fold? Yeah, Body's been
Can you
folded too.
let me win one, please?
Alright,
I will tip you big.
Margot,
I will
I'm gonna let
tip
it
you
go.
big.
Margot.
I'm gonna let it go. I like it, but not that much.
Oh my God! I call. Give me that fucking hand. I call that shit.
I don't like those hard.
I call that
That's
shit.
why I did it. That's why I did it.
Margot.
I don't like those
no,
hard.
no.
Come on, let me win. I will tip you good.
You guys are both taking each other's
I
hands.
will tip you good.
She's got it right there. I love that hand. My favorite hand.
Sorry, Margot. I had yours and I had yours.
Sorry, Jed. Margot just on your. Oh! 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 Shit!
Rick! Rick!
Eight.
Oh!
Eight.
The eight.
Eight is
Yep.
good.
8 is good.
Eight
is good.
Let's
Good job,
fucking
Margot.
go.
Let's fucking go, she said.
Absolutely phenomenal way to end the night. Margot scoops a massive pot with just a pair of 8s, just in time to cash out for the night. What an absolutely fantastic session. I had so much fun. The players were great and winning definitely helps. We'll keep the recap brief since the video was already so long. All right, so looking at the session details, we bought in for 900. We cashed out $2,080 for a whopping profit of 1,180. Boom! Hourly wage shot up to $216 an hour. Definitely not maintaining that. That's just this session. And moving over to the graph, we shot up quite a bit. Our total earnings since we started the vlog is $1,831. We definitely recovered our deficit and we're up a good chunk of change. Let's keep that up for the rest of the month. All right, you beautiful degens, we're gonna cut it off there. If you made it this far in the video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next week.